And Bryan Broaddus texting somebody important. You keep doing what you doing, dog. I'm about to intro the show for us. You understand me?
No, I was pulling up some Raven stuff that I had. So I was just making sure I was on point.
Bryan Broaddus.
What's up, brother?
Bryan Broaddus, you are always
okay?
on point.
Are you doing okay today?
Bryan, you ain't got to ask me, Bryan. I'm doing just fine.
I know you're doing just fine. So am I.
I get to work
Good to
with.
see you, man.
I get to
Good
work
to
with the great Bryan Broaddus every day, man. I can't beat that, man.
You know what's funny? People tell me, "God, you get to work with Voch Lombardi," and I'm like, "Yeah, isn't it amazing?"
Nobody tells me
my career is just taken off.
Don't nobody tell you that.
Someday someone said you're going to be famous. I'm saying I didn't get famous until I started working with Voch Lombardi.
To be fair, when Bryan was having troubles with his setup and all that, and he was at the Star in the media room, and he couldn't get it going, and what's his name? That said something.
Oh,
Raphael Benjamin or someone to be Ruben. And Ruben was like, "Oh, what up, Voch?" And I was like, "What's up, man? What's up with you?" You know,
that was pretty funny. That we were setting up, and Ruben, who's an engineer for us at Odyssey, and I was trying to get it set up, and Voch is absolutely right about that. And when I turned the screen, Ruben immediately goes, "Oh, that's Voch Lombardi. Voch, hey," you know, and you're like, "Hey, how's it going, man?"
Bryan, maybe you're used to everybody knowing you, but I'm shocked when somebody know me and I don't know them.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Everybody knows the great Voch Lombardi.
Shouts out to Ruben.
You take a peek at this Raven defense. Got any ideas? Got any ways to attack this thing?
I don't know what the hell we're gonna do, but Bryan, Bryan, man, I was watching the Ravens, man. I was like, you know how the Cowboys defense, it can hinge on what we're doing with Micah Parsons, right? You know how that conversation can go. Like if Micah Parsons in one place, the defense looks totally different, but if Micah's in another place, the defense looks totally different. And there's this vision, this romantic story of Micah Parsons playing everywhere and confusing the hell out the defense, right? Like there's an idea of that.
Right.
There's also this idea that if Micah Parsons is not on the field, that everybody has a standard job and they become a lot more predictable. Right. That makes sense?
Makes sense.
I think Kyle Hamilton is there for the Baltimore Ravens. Kyle Hamilton's on the injury report or whatever, you know what I mean? So we're going to have to keep eyes on that. But when Kyle Hamilton is on the field, formerly of Notre Dame, and he's a guy that we felt like scouts overthought it a little bit. He was supposed to be a top pick, Bryan, but he fell into the teens of the Ravens, whatever. Yeah. That dude can play down. He can play back. He can play free. He can play strong. He can play nickel. He got a couple linebacker snaps. Why not? Great tackler, great cover dude. He's a mismatch type cover guy. Go play some of them running backs and receivers. Play them tight ends. Do what you want, Kyle Hamilton. And you notice that the defense shifts upon him.
Yeah.
If he's down, somebody else will go back there and do something a little different. Sure. But ultimately, it confuses you as somebody who's tasked to attack this defense.
Yeah.
If Kyle Hamilton is hurt, that Ravens defense is probably just going to look real regular.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You're going to be right there. You're going to be at free. You're going to be at Will and Sam. All right, cool. We good to go. Yeah. I think one of the better advantages, and I'm taking something from you, Bryan Broaddus, nobody's going to feel sorry for you. We can't feel sorry for them.
Nope. Nobody feels sorry for you.
If Kyle Hamilton can't play, I think that Ravens defense is a little bit easier to dissect and diagnose.
Yeah. When
he's out there, he can give you a lot of fits because he can line up in a ton of different places. Yeah. I can talk about some other I got 3 more big talking points, but I want you to touch on Kyle Hamilton, Bryan Broaddus.
Man, I totally agree with everything you're saying, the assessment of Hamilton. I've watched him play. I'm not going to act like I've watched a ton of Raven games. I've watched TV Raven games, but I'm kind of learning that this year Kyle Hamilton's playing a lot more in that Marquise Bell curse, that role. They're playing him as basically a dime linebacker is what they're playing. But he'll play dime linebacker, he'll play in the slot, and he'll play as a safety. And so, number 14, I have a feeling that he is going to cover Ferguson in this game. I have a feeling that's going to be a matchup that we need to keep an eye on. He's got that kind of ability. He plays in the slot. I mean, there's a lot of times you see him run with guys, but these last 2 games, you've seen him play down a bunch, and they're good against the run. The metrics, the numbers, everything tell you they're good against the run. You know why they're good against the run? They got really big inside guys, and they got length on the edge.
Yeah,
and they got a guy like Kyle Hamilton that can play down in the box. And if Roquan Smith doesn't make the play, he can make the play.
He'll make it.
Yeah. So I totally like what you've said. I think he's an important player to them. I think he creates turnovers. He's around the ball. He tackles well. I think it's surprising. There were some questions about really how tough he was coming out of Notre Dame. That kid's a tough player.
Yeah.
So they've got the 2 sample size games that we've studied from them. It's been a little different. You know, hadn't had the success with the blitz, hadn't had the success getting off the football like they had in the past. You know, when you start to talk about their rush, I mean, it's kind of noticeable, you know, and they've lost their defensive coordinator to be a head coach. They've lost 2 other coaches to be defensive coordinators. There's some getting used to right now for this Raven. And I mean, Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah.
Marlon Humphrey having to play a lot in the slot.
Sure.
You know, and because they're trying to get Nate Wiggins out there, who they drafted in the 1st round out of Clemson. You know, he's banged up. He hasn't practiced. We'll see what happens tomorrow with him.
Yeah.
But they've rotated. When you watch, they rotate their defensive backs, their corners. They're trying to get, you know, they're trying to kind of find their safeties have been a little bit of some liabilities in coverage. If you watch the Raiders, that gave me some encouragement, you know, Ferguson, you know, and Stevens and even Schoonmaker. We'll see. We'll see how that rolls. But this does not look like the Raven defense that we've seen in past years. They're missing some pieces. You know, Patrick Queen no longer being there at linebacker. They're missing some pieces of defenses they've had and coordinators and coaches from the past. And hey, I hope they don't figure it out this weekend. I hope they don't, but they probably will eventually. They'll probably figure it out. But right now, they're a team that's struggling a little bit with their defense, especially versus the pass.
Man, Brian, I'm one smiling fool, man, because the Ravens have a fantastic run-stopping unit, but man, we don't run the football. Yeah, don't run the football. No. I think it's a great way to deal with them is to just do what the Cowboys do. And man, Brian, I was watching Travis Kelce go out there and put hands on them kids. I'm like, man, that must just be because Travis Kelce is really good. That can't just be how they handle the tight end play. And then, man, you see the rookie Brock Bowers go out there and start putting hands all over the Ravens, Bryan Broaddus. And I feel like, man, if there's a week for Ferguson to be healthy with no kind of ailments, boy, this is the week to do it. This is the week to do it because those other tight ends, not only do they kind of like whoop ass on their own, but you can make the argument that Travis Kelce opened up things for the wide receivers, Xavier Worthy, you know, some of those other guys, Rice and all that. And, you know, Devontae Adams in his own right is already a phenomenal receiver. But if Brock Bowers is whooping the hell out you and you have to adjust to that, that's going to make life a little easier for him. So what I would love, Brian, is for Jake Ferguson to continue the lineage of tight ends putting hands on the Ravens this year. And maybe that'll make things a little easier for our wide receivers across the board, Brian.
Yeah, I think there has to be somebody. This is one of those games where, and I like the direction you're going with Ferguson. And and Hamilton very well could be the matchup. And if it's not Hamilton, you know, Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson. The safeties. And, you know, if you look at the metrics, you watch the tape, they're struggling. They're struggling with tight ends. You said it very eloquently. Yeah. That they are, that's something that you would hope that you can take advantage of in this football game. And but you know, man, this is a game where Ferguson can get it going, but also I don't know how you feel about Brandon Stevens on the other side of opposite of Humphrey, number 21.
Yeah, the corner. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what you say about him, if you got any thoughts about that guy.
I think there's a reason why they really want to get Wiggins going, Brian. I think he's a dude you can go find, and I think that if there's two dudes that just the Ravens in general are trying to figure out how to move on from, it's Brandon Stevens and it's the right guard Falele. Those two dudes, if there's big plays happening on either side of the ball, it's going to be Falele at right guard or it's going to be Brandon Stevens on the other side. And I think that's why Nate Wiggins being hurt is so important. And you know, Nate Wiggins is a rookie, and you can go fight him. But hey, Kool-Aid beat the hell out you, so we just can't assume that rookies are just going to.
You really can't. Yeah. No, you said it. You said it very well last night. That, you know, when you throw the word scrub, you throw the word scrub, and scrub could look like scrub for a couple of weeks, and scrub could get some Dallas Cowboy reps and look like an all pro. You know, but I love what you said about the tight ends. But I especially love about with Brandon Stevens. And to me, this is where. And I don't know if they'll do this, Voch. I don't know. Because we always ask for it. You know, we're just a couple of guys with a mic and a camera. That's what we are. But this would be a good game for Cooks. This would be a good game if you take somebody that can really run routes. And not that CeeDee Lamb can't run routes, but not like Brandon Cooks can run routes. Brandon Stevens, he has problems with routes that are at him, and he has to break and adjust. There's hesitation there with him. To me, I'm putting one of my best route runners on him. And I'm gonna try and wear him out that way, and see if I can take advantage of, you know, some of the coverage, you know, breakdowns that he might have. Marlon Humphrey has struggled. Marlon Humphrey. It's kind of like when we talk about Zach Martin.
A little older now.
The bar is so high. The level is so high that when they play just a little bit below that level, you kind of like, wow, really? Marlon Humphrey's given up 2 touchdowns already? Hell, he gave up 1 last year. You know, he's 11, 12 catches. Wait a minute. He only gave up 26 the whole year last year. You know, there's something going on. Now, probably haven't got the pass rush. Now we'll see. You know, Dallas will. we know that the left tackle will give up some pressures, and the right tackle might give up a sack a game. You know, you just hope it's not the one that kills the drive or kills the game or causes you to lose. But you know, this crew for 2 weeks has not put the pressure on you. Now if they're not going to pressure you, then or the pressures are going to be limited. I'm going to try and take advantage of this secondary the best I can, because I in my heart of hearts, I know I can't run the ball. I mean, I can't. I think it's going to be hard to block their front. I think it's going to be very hard to block their front because of the size. So,
to that point, Brian, as I look up at the television and Braylon Allen is, you know, making guys miss. To that point though, Brian, I think that
was Braylon Allen for you, by the way.
What round?
Yeah, did you have him like in the 4th round, 3rd round?
I had like a late third on.
Yeah, I thought you had him in the 3rd. I remember talking to you about him.
Late 3rd.
You had a good stack of running backs there all in that 3rd round.
Yeah, man, he was fantastic. He was just young, but if you fantastic and young, you can get better. But Brian, man, one unit versus unit group that I think is very interesting, man. If you look at let's say it like this. If you look at the Ravens D-line and be like, okay, where are those dudes truly special? You would say that Madubuike and Travis Jones are playing some really damn good football. And I think that's where the Cowboys are like really good, right? Like our guards and our center, like we're powerful there, right? And if you look at any place you could take advantage of the Ravens D-line a little bit, you might say the edges with Owe and Ojabo, right? You wouldn't possibly say those guys, right? I just don't feel great about my tackles being able to really overpower them in a kind of way. So I still think that the tackles have a harder fight, but I think that real heavyweight fight is in the middle. I think Travis Jones is playing some phenomenal football, and Justin Madubuike, even as a tackle, like he's still a pass rush. He got double digit sacks last year or something like that, I believe. So I think that's a crucial fight of good on good in the middle, and it's a crucial fight of good on the outsides, Brian.
Yeah, the size is impressive in size, and you mentioned Montebique hasn't got the pressures that he had last year. There has been times where, when he was a guy that it seemed like every rush that he had last year was resulting in some type of with the quarterback moving or a pressure, but that's number's been really, really down for them. This team's tried to blitz and get people home, and they haven't had as much success getting sacks and forcing pressures off their blitzes. That's been a problem for them. I think they've got the length, and you talk about the edge with Owe and him, and I think with Ojabu, I think those are their two pass rush guys. Van Noy is a good player.
Sure.
Van Noy is a good player, and his length, and he can give you problems, and occasional pressure. And, but the other ones, like I said, Owe right off the jump, I think Colton Miller, you watch the Raiders tape.
Yeah.
And, the first play of the game, they give up a sack, and you're like going, oh, damn, it's going to be one of those days for the Raiders. And, they kind of found a way to rally, but and you just hope that this is not the game that they figure things out. This is a very talented defense in a lot of ways. Their guys just aren't playing like they once did.
Yeah.
And that's where the matchup inside, I'll tell you this, this Michael Pierce, it was number 58, and he
run stopper, stout.
God, he's
dude.
just he's just like they're blocking him, and he sheds guys, and now he's making a tackle. It's a 3-yard gain.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to run the ball, and he's holding guys up. They hold up guys, and Roquan Smith and others just get to
Trent Simpson,
they run to the ball, and if you're a Cowboy fan, you're going to watch this game, and you're going to go, God, they're big inside, and but that's what you're going to have to do. And then but we think our better players are inside. Yeah. We feel like our better players when Martin and BB getting better every week.
Yep.
And Smith,
yep.
It's going to be 3-on-3 inside. It's going to be the triangle versus the 3-down Cowboy guys. But you've got to be able to hold up with Steele, and you've got the young kid whose hands are getting better, whose feet are getting better. He's got to have a really a good game.
Yeah.
I hope they find a way. If somehow, some way that they find a way to run the ball, God, that would be great. I'm not counting on it, man, because I'll tell you one thing. I looked at the metrics because I kept seeing teams, Kansas City and the Raiders, completing play action passes on these guys.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man, that's a lot of completions. 13 for 13. Play action game. What was your quarterback? I said, okay, now I got to figure something out here.
Yeah.
What was your quarterback, Dak Prescott, last week? 6 for 6 off play action.
Yeah.
91 yards, 1 touchdown. Okay. You might not run the ball worth a damn, but maybe you could affect. You play action that thing, and maybe all of a sudden you get a step up, and guys open behind it.
Sure.
But if they're going to struggle in areas, you just can't just let it go by the wayside. You just can't say, oh, okay, we're going to put Tolbert over there, on Stevens and just run, and play all day.
Yeah.
Man, just find their guys. Find the guys that are having trouble and go after them. That's what teams do to you.
Yeah.
When you're not getting off blocks of defensive tackles, and they feel like your corners are not stepping up, and your linebackers are getting pinned inside. What do they keep doing? Run the ball the outside. Right, keep running the ball. They find your guys. Cleveland couldn't find your guys.
Yeah.
Cleveland. That's a mistake. What did the Saints do? Saints said, no, wait a minute now. Okay. And they kept doing it. And I just want to see the Cowboys get into a situation where they're taking advantage of maybe some below average play or below, great play for the Ravens at their cornerback spots, and maybe even, at their linebackers.
CeeDee Lamb's probably going to move around. That's typically how he works, but I don't think the Ravens are going to move their corners based on how we move. So, what do you think that?
Well, I will say this though, Voch.
Please,
you're gonna get Humphrey to play some slot.
Okay,
that's something.
That's
He's generally the left corner.
Yeah.
But depending on what the health with Wiggins, because if Wiggins doesn't play, there's Armour Davis is the other corner they have. Mm-hmm. That's a hyphenated name.
Yeah.
And so, they've been trying to get these guys in these games. And so if this has been, usually Humphrey is not going in the slot, but he doesn't look as comfortable in the slot as he does playing the left corner. So to me, there's another opportunity.
Sure.
CD in the slot, run some routes off, try and make this Humphrey carry all these routes from the inside.
Sure.
Because he's really good at carrying routes on the outside, but can he carry routes on the inside?
Mm-hmm.
That's you've got to take advantage of some of these guys if you can.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where, but you're the moving around part, only moving into the slot. I don't remember him playing a bunch of right corner in this game or these games I watched, but it was mainly the left corner and mainly the slot.
Mm-hmm. Bryan, Jalen Brooks and Jalen Tolbert, do you anticipate them having a better game this year, this week, or like, do you think they're gonna improve, do a little more? You think they fixed what their woes are? Do you not see them going anywhere? If you have this 3-game projection of them and what you think they're gonna going to turn into over the next few games or so, and I just want to, because this conversation going around Cowboy Nation right now. When do you look at what they're doing and go, all right, let's just see what Ryan
Flournoy.
Right. What does he have? Right. At what point do you look at?
Go ahead. You tell me. You tell me what you think. I'm interested. I'm always interested in what you got. Good eyes for this stuff. Yeah. What do you think? Are we to the point? I know last week I thought Tolbert had one of his best games in a while.
Sure.
But I'm interested to think of how quickly you want to get Flournoy involved.
I don't think that we're getting much out of Turpin for sure at wide receiver. Now, Turpin, the kick return, man, hey, man, we could shots out of Turpin, the kick return, man. He's who he is. But if he's going to be out there just like running jet sweeps and stuff over the middle and jumping in the air and dropping stuff, I mean, just whatever, hey, we ain't got to do all that. I think Flournoy is a much better receiver than him. So right now, I want to see where we're at with Brooks and Tolbert. And Bryan, this really comes down to me hating on these other offenses, man. They find a way to get their third and fourth guy going. If you look at San Francisco, they'll find something for Jennings to do. If you watch some of these other teams, I'm watching the Jets right now. They got a mix of miscellaneous characters over there, but they find ways to get them going. And we looking at Jalen Brooks. He's a one catch a game guy. Tolbert. Tolbert had a better game last week, but man, Bryan, I ain't even noticed for real. Like, he is almost like he just compiled those catches, but I didn't notice him affecting the game. I would say. I think that's a better way to say it. Besides that one big catch. So I'm looking at Florida. I'm like, man, can you help me on the ins and outs of the game, just the play outs of the game? Because honestly, I don't think we're gonna do everything that we can do to maximize Brandon Cooks neither. And I don't think it's fair to look at Flournoy and be like, hey, come save us at wide receiver too. That's not fair to him as a rookie or just as a 6th-round pick rookie or whatever. But I'm interested to see, can he give us anything more than one catch a game and maybe give us a little yak at, wide receiver. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there's, when things start to get a little messy and, Brooks didn't play well at all. Yeah. There was a couple of different breakdowns that he had in that game and the blocking and stuff. And people are like, well, damn, I thought Brooks had a really good training camp, good enough to be considered for where he's the position that he currently has. Am I interested in Flournoy because of his size and his toughness and maybe him going to get in the football? You're damn right I am. Mm-hmm. I wonder how quickly they will move on, because the things that, you got to look at special teams and what all does Brooks do on special teams. Can Flournoy do the same thing? And I know I'm about to get the Phil Collins face because when when you start to talk about these guys, it's kind of like the whole thing the other day. And I know Nick Harris in the locker room today got the word about our guy Overshown, playing in base. They got him to say, well, I'm playing in the base, Okay, well, that's good. The coaches kind of realized they need to put him on the field. He needs to play more. If Brooks continues to struggle with his blocking and routes where he needs to stay on his feet, bro, you cannot stumble. You stumble going across the middle, 90% of the time it's going to be an interception. Yeah. And that's what happened. And so I'm to the point where give me one more game, but I hate to do this because if one more game turns into him stumbling and not getting blocks and it costs us, maybe potentially a win because he didn't get a first down or he didn't make a play or he didn't get a block, then I'm going to be kicking myself in the ass going, well, damn, Bryan, you saw the problem. Why are you still just allowing it to fester? You need to move on. You need to get the other kid ready and go play. Yeah. Flournoy, I'll tell you this about Flournoy. That son of a gun, he spotted everybody about 2 weeks in camp. Yeah. He spotted everybody, all those receivers, he spotted them 2 weeks. But the 2 weeks that he played after he came back, he was pretty damn impressive.
Flashy.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah.
So he spotted them all. Brooks, he spotted him. He spotted Tolbert. But when it was kind of all at the end, you're like going, man, they're going to keep 6 receivers.
Sure.
They ain't letting this kid go.
Yeah.
I think we're closer. I think we're closer to that. I just don't want to. I don't want to see them lose another game. And if they lose the game because they don't get quality play from Brooks or from Tolbert, then I think you're going to see, let's give Flournoy a shot.
And look, this ain't me trying to bench anybody because I'm just a dude with a microphone and camera, but I think we should be looking for help anywhere we can get it. For example,
Absolutely.
for tight end outside of Jake Ferguson, I think John Stevens is missing such an opportunity being hurt right now or just being a hurt guy in general. You need tight ends so bad outside of Jake Ferguson. And look, Schoonmaker caught his passes or whatever, but like I said, did he impact the game? I just think he just caught his passes. I think John Stevens can help you. I think Flournoy can help you. If we were having severe issues on the offensive line, I'd be looking for help. Bryan Broaddus, let me ask you a question, man. Hey, man, the first round left tackle, man. Hey, look, I get you, Bryan. I feel you. Yeah. I know people don't like Chuma Edoga, man. And look, I ain't saying nothing. I ain't saying nothing like that, but Chuma Edoga was at least solid for you last year, Bryan. Do you think it's ever? Let's just say that the left tackle goes out there and just starts leaning again. He gets over his toes. He starts lunging, and he didn't make a lot of great grades on film last week. Do you think that this coaching staff? I ain't saying that this is me, because if it's me, I'm just letting the kid get hot in the fire, and we just gonna figure it out, just whatever. Yeah. But do you think the coaches would ever go to Chuma Edoga because they just trust him a little more?
It's always a possibility with coaches. Me personally, I agree with you. Just let him play all 17 games. Mm-hmm. That's your future. That's your future. I mean, it's if he was giving up games with multiple sacks, with it's two a game, I mean, hell, your right tackle's giving up a sack a game right now as is.
Sure is.
So I'm letting the kid play, but I've been with coaching staffs that. And, you're like, hey, how's the kid? Oh, if we play with this veteran guy, we might be, and I'm like, we drafted this kid. This is our future at left tackle. Mm-hmm. That's our future over there. Let's take the opportunity to, get him as much work as possible until he starts to cost you games or get somebody hurt. Then you will need to consider things. But right now, I'm not touching him. Edoga, get as healthy as you want to get. Hell, maybe Edoga could play right tackle if Steele doesn't,
That was my next question. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Terrence hasn't necessarily been great neither. Yeah.
if all of a sudden, Steele played well against the Browns, wasn't particularly great against the Saints.
Yeah.
To me, that's kind of where I'm at. If Edoga is, if Edoga's that guy that everybody kind of feels like, well, he was pretty solid, other than missing some assignments. I threw a lot of dirt on him, and that's why there were times he did show up. There's no question. There's times he showed up, but I'm not sacrificing my big picture left tackle just for Edoga's sake. No.
Okay. Yeah, there's just some questions.
Coaches might.
Yeah.
Coaches, Joe Philbin, Mike Solari.
Yeah.
He might say, well, if we play with this veteran guy, we might be a little bit better off in the running game. Okay, sure.
It's just a lot of things I'm seeing Cowboy fans talk about right now, and I just wanted to run it by you.
What do you feel like?
Play Guyton. I mean, that's who you have. He's your rookie. You have to put him in the fire and let him burn and learn his lessons. It's not like I don't think he's a bad player. I just think he's going back to his bad habits because he's uncomfortable.
He's trying to survive, man. I mean, the first several weeks he has not drawn anybody that, and then even when they play, next Thursday night, he's going to get that guy from Carolina, Burns. Yeah. Yeah. Or Thibodeau, it ain't going to get any easier.
It ain't getting no easier. But to the Terrence Steele point, I can see why Tyler Guyton is struggling, and I can see how to fix Tyler Guyton. Guyton just needs reps. He just needs comfort, And once he's gotten used to these fights or whatever, he wouldn't lean over his toes so much, right? But I'm just wondering, man, was that a one-hit wonder year for Terrence Steele? And look, I ain't trying to kick nobody off a bridge, man, but I just think you all hands on deck at this point, or we all getting fired, Bryan, bro. I think that's a good thing for us to do for the rest of this season is we need to take a day to just evaluate what Mike McCarthy is thinking right now, because he's on a 1-year contract. He might get fired, and I don't know if he's going somewhere else after this, but man, is Terrence Steele doing enough right now to keep his job? I think he's doing a little bit enough to keep his job right now, but at least Tyler Guyton is fighting with Myles Garrett and Chase Young. You can't be giving up a sack and a half to Carl Granderson. You just can't do that.
Sure. No, I agree with you. And, if you get to the point where you feel like, but then again, here's the love, and man, Steele is a good kid. And I'm not trying to soften the blow for this thing, but this is a performance-based deal. You've got to find a way to, not give up sacks, but you got to grade 65 plays. I always tell everybody that, and if you're bad on 3 plays, you're bad on 3 plays, but don't let those plays be one where you're down in the red zone and a guy spins inside on you and, it's a sack. And now the quarterback doesn't have a chance to throw the ball and we have to kick a field goal. Don't be that guy.
Sure.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Edoga, when he gets back, that if things aren't going well at either tackle spot. Yeah. But me personally, I leave Guyton out there and let him learn every single day, and it's trial by fire for him right now.
Quickly, because we talked about this pre-show and we hadn't talked about this, and are you totally sick of these running back shit? Because there are still people that's fighting me over Zeke, and I'll let them keep fighting their good fight. It's all right. But people like, well, Voch, you saying this about Zeke? Rico Dowdle hasn't done X, Y, Z, and I'm like, hey man, Rico can go too. I'm like, Rico can go too. He's not really holding his end of the bargain either. Yeah. So, Bryan, before we let you go, or we just adjourn here, where are we at with the running backs?
I went back because I'm getting inundated with all these new metrics, like with, he's the worst when it comes to perfect block play. I'm like, okay, I took a chance because of my next gen ability with my film to look at all his carries.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of perfect block plays there, but are there better opportunities? Sure. Are there better ways of hitting the hole? Sure. Are there openings? Sure. And you could say that about Rico Dowdle too.
Yeah.
Rico Dowdle will run the darkness on you every once in a while too, but I'm trying to I'm not. It's this whole thing with the running situation.
Let me see.
You know,
Okay.
yeah. Here you go.
So let's see
a well blocked play.
Let's see if this is a perfectly blocked play. Hey, that looks.
And yeah, there you go.
It looks blocked pretty well. Okay.
There you go. We got what we got. We got what we got.
Yo, Brian, we ain't got to go through all these, but you did intrigue me a little bit. You did intrigue me on the idea. Man, I wonder how many perfectly blocked plays Zeke has got.
Go through it. Like I said, I think there were 15.
It's 15 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not perfectly blocked. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was watching them, and I'm like going, okay, that was pretty well blocked. That wasn't perfectly blocked. That and it's one of those metrics that kind of like I was kind of like thinking, what's reality of it? But I don't know. Is it the backs? Is it the line? You're out of the game. Look at that. Go back if we could on that one. Is that one? Should we cut there? I mean, what are we doing? Okay, the whole. Okay,
I'm finding 73. I'm going to go get behind Tyler Smith. I wouldn't have cut back right here.
You wouldn't have cut back. I would have kept pressing it to the left.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. Just keep pushing. But he probably saw one sitting in there in the hole.
Make a miss.
Make a miss. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Make a miss, bro.
I don't think we've made a guy miss yet.
No. Yeah, I just been listening to your head coach and your offensive coordinator, and they're hitting us with that line again that I can't stand. Like, we just need some more attempts. We just need more attempts, and more attempts to have your ass losing games out here if it's not blocked well.
Well, I'll tell you what, they got behind in that game the other day, and more attempts wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. More attempts. You you needed to fight your way back into that game and try and throw your way into that game, but you couldn't get a stop. I mean, you got it to 21-13 at one point, and you couldn't get a stop. And from that point on, you're just like, man, they count this as a running play, by the way.
It's blocked pretty good, I guess. But.
Let's go back and say they count that. They actually counted this as a running play because the ball's thrown behind the line.
He's behind that, yeah.
Yeah, that they consider that a running play. So good for Zeke. That's a good positive play right there.
Yep.
But turn it up. Turn up.
Yeah. Turn up and go. Well, Brian, that's asking Zeke to do things with quick feet and athleticism. We ain't gonna do.
No, we're hating. It is what we're hating right now. I'll tell you what, the running backs are all grateful that the defensive linemen, the defensive tackles have shown up.
Who you telling?
It's like there's kind of nobody's noticing us right now. They're all,
I noticed. Damn it,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Phil noticed. We see you.
Phil knows.
We see
Phil
you.
Knows. Phil knows.
Man,
see that's the thing about it is that those running backs are kind of like, whew, wow. Those defensive tackles have been so bad that nobody's talking about us anymore.
Twitter and YouTube don't miss nothing. Trust me, we're still having that conversation. Man, Bryan Broaddus, I want you to go get something to eat. I want you to go lay down, take a good nap, and wake up at 5 a.m. and read some comments, man. I appreciate you for being here, sir.
Man, hey, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks, and thanks to everybody out there that hangs out with us on a nightly basis. We'll get the rhythm of this thing. I think we're doing a pretty decent job. I promise I'll have you some questions tomorrow night. How about that?
All right.
Friday night question answers. Voch says. Voch says. Usually that's one of the most popular things we do during the week when Voch says.
That sounds good, man. Give me about 5. I'll give you about 4, and we'll do it like that.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate you.
Y'all follow me on my socials here, VOCHLONBARDI. Y'all follow Brian at Bryan Broaddus, and we are doing all right. Y'all hold it down. We'll catch y'all next time. We love you to pieces. Don't you forget it. Crown.